In the Star Wars franchise, few characters are as iconic as Jedi Master Obi-Wan Kenobi, the Jedi who fought alongside Anakin and Luke Skywalker, and served them both as a master in the ways of the Force. Recently, the Star Wars franchise has been expanding its cinematic universe and opening the doors for solo films from its numerous characters, and this has now led to an Obi-Wan movie finally being confirmed. But what will this movie look like, and what will happen during it? Well, in this video, I'll be breaking down 5 things we need to see in the Obi-Wan Kenobi movie. Make sure to subscribe to this channel and enable notifications so you can see all of my content right away when it comes out. So the first thing I think we need to see in this movie is more backstory on Obi-Wan. Although we saw him go from a Padawan to a master in the prequel trilogy, we only really saw Obi-Wan as an older Padawan. Going back and seeing his struggles as he grew into the man we first see in Phantom Menace, who would train Anakin, would be fascinating. We know from the Clone Wars animated series that Obi-Wan and Satine, the Queen of Mandalore, were once romantically linked. Perhaps we could see him struggle with his temptation similar to how Anakin did with Padme. And just seeing more of how his master trained him and what trials he had to go through as a Padawan. And this leads into my next point. I want to see more of Qui-Gon Jinn. And of course, I want to see him be portrayed once again by Liam Neeson. Qui-Gon is such an important character in the Star Wars mythos, yet we saw little of him in the films. Now with an Obi-Wan solo film, we have the chance to delve not only into Obi-Wan's past, but also the past of his master. We can see the relationship as master and student, learn more about the lessons Qui-Gon taught Obi-Wan about the Force, and perhaps have new light shed on Qui-Gon's training with the Force priestesses. And of course, it would allow us to see Obi-Wan's training with Qui-Gon during the time between Revenge of the Sith and A New Hope, where Kenobi learned the ability to manifest himself after death as a Force ghost. And this time period leads up to my next item on this list. I want to see Obi-Wan's life on Tatooine. How did he spend his days on the desert planet? How harsh was the environment he had to endure? How trying was it for him both physically and mentally to live in seclusion on such a world? Perhaps we can see something similar to how we saw Rey's life in the beginning of The Force Awakens, where we saw how she spent her days. Seeing Obi-Wan going to Mos Eisley Cantina, learning about the inhabitants and those who frequent the location, and perhaps getting some further cameos from the prequel and original trilogies would be cool to see. But of course, most importantly, we have to see his time watching over Luke, protecting him from harm, and keeping the secret of his true parentage and role in the future of the galaxy as a secret. Maybe we can even see a scene where Yoda communicates with Obi-Wan and tells him not to reveal the truth, which was a revelation Yoda gave in a deleted scene from Return of the Jedi. Keeping the truth of Anakin from Luke must have been incredibly difficult for Obi-Wan, especially given their history, which leads into my next point. We need to see Darth Vader in this film in some incarnation. Obi-Wan and Vader are linked with an unbreakable chain as characters. Kenobi was his master, his friend, and the two were truly brothers. Yet Obi-Wan was also the man who cut Anakin down and left him to burn alive, which truly transformed him into Vader, killing nearly all that remained of Anakin on Mustafar. So perhaps we can see Obi-Wan learn of Vader and his actions hunting down the Jedi, or even see scenes of it. We can see flashbacks of Obi-Wan and Anakin as friends during the time of the prequels, as well as Vader's defeat at Obi-Wan's hands. I imagine the entire situation haunts Obi-Wan, who must often think of the friend he failed, as well as the student. And perhaps the biggest moment in this movie could be seeing Obi-Wan's revelation of Darth Vader's true identity. How he learned it and his reaction to it would serve as such an important character moment, and could perhaps be similar to when Luke learned of his father's identity in Empire Strikes Back. And although we know the twist, it would give us a great chance to see how the former master would respond, and what his next actions would be. However, much of this would be down to how the actor playing the role would sell this scene, which leads into perhaps the most important thing on this list. Ewan McGregor needs to return to play Obi-Wan. Despite the flaws of the prequel trilogy, one thing most Star Wars fans will agree on is that Ewan McGregor's portrayal of Obi-Wan Kenobi was great. He was able to make audiences connect with him and appreciate his character in a way that they couldn't for much of the film, and as a result, his performance really stood out. So naturally, it only makes sense for him to return, and as he said in the past, he would like to reprise his role. I think this is essential. Ewan McGregor and Sir Alec Guinness are the definitive Obi-Wan in the eyes of the audiences, with McGregor playing the younger and Guinness playing the older. Now McGregor is able to play Obi-Wan in the middle of his growth, yet wouldn't be unbelievable to portray even his younger self again. And while they can cast a child Obi-Wan or a young teen for even earlier flashbacks, I think it would be a mistake to recast the older Obi-Wan as well, since fans would totally reject it and McGregor is still totally capable of doing so. So I believe this is perhaps the biggest thing that needs to happen and probably should have been announced from the beginning. Now, of course, this film takes place in the now Star Wars cinematic universe, so it will also be cool to see connections to the original trilogy, prequel trilogy, and current trilogy, as well as the spin-offs. And it's possible that this isn't the only film Obi-Wan will appear in, which is another exciting prospect about all of these new films coming out from Lucasfilm and Disney. So let me know your own thoughts about it down below in the comments. What are your 5 things we need to see in the Obi-Wan movie? And don't forget to subscribe and enable notifications so you can see all of my content right away when it comes out. And as I always say, stick around, because there's a lot more to come in the future.
Yeah, and you better subscribe, enable those damn notifications.